candid conversations, unfiltered opinions, and humor with Avag Beck's podcast.
Hello, welcome to our show. Another great episode, and I keep saying this, but this is going to be good. So I have a friend, Kendra Court with us. Kendra is an author. Kendra is also a career coach. This platform, we talk about career growth, personal growth, management, business, entrepreneurship, the journey that is life. So Kendra has had her journeys, like a lot of us. And again, this is a conversation that will empower and encourage anybody out there still finding their purpose, still searching for that thing to stand up into it and keep going. It happens. Happen now eventually. So we're going to have that conversation. And I just want to take this time to celebrate Kendra. She's an author and she's leaning into it. And we're so happy and so proud of her. She is of herself. So yay, Kendra!
Thank you.
Kendra, welcome. Please tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate you. And I really appreciate being here because as we were just saying, the author identity is new. The book was just published in the last couple of weeks. So I'm pinching and I'm still even getting used to saying it out loud. So yeah, I'm leaning into that identity, that title, but I am a career coach, sort of first and foremost. I help people navigate their careers, whether it's toxic work environments or bad boss. More recently, I've been focused on career change. So helping people make really powerful pivots and really intentional career change so that they're really more authentically aligned with who they are. I think before the show started, you and I were talking about how we often fall into careers that feel safe or feel like society is deemed those certain professions worthy and acceptable. So we follow those paths that are more traditional. And if that's not who we are, there's going to be a misalignment, and it's going to feel really incongruent at a certain point. And so my work right now is helping these mid-career professionals make pivots and make these career changes to be more aligned with who they are versus succumbing to the influence of society and doing the thing that isn't really their thing.
So let's talk about that pivot, because it is not an easy thing to do. And especially for, mid-career, vested in a sense, and veterans, I would call veterans in their area of expertise. Making that change is not an easy decision, and making that change with confidence usually comes with a degree of anxiety. So in your experience, how have you been able to successfully manage the angst that comes with that pivot? Because again, if we're talking about pivot, most times it's not a pivot into the same industry. It's a pivot into a completely different industry. So please walk us through how you would manage that.
Great question. To your point, our internal blockers often keep us stuck, right? So whether it comes in the form of self-doubt or imposter syndrome or perfectionism or, frustration, fear, the internal blockers, the inner critic often keeps us stuck. Making a pivot, making a complete career change to a new industry or a new role or a new type of work can be really scary, right? Fear of the unknown, fear of failure. God forbid, as humans, we fail. So there's often that inner noise that keeps us stuck in things longer than we should. We know it's run its course for us, but we often stay stuck in it out of self-doubt or fear. And so to your point about having the confidence, number one, I get people to get quiet. That's going to sound a little bit airy-fairy, but I think really that inner wisdom is where we start, and getting quiet, really acknowledging what is inside you, what's your gut saying, what does your heart say, often we know something's not right for us. We have that inner knowing. Whether we logically want to believe it or not is a different story, but we often know in our heart of hearts if something's not right. Getting the confidence to make the change comes from identifying where your transferable skills are and how you can confidently make the pivot using what you already have, right? I mean, so many of the skills that we develop can be parlayed into something else, right? Like your leadership skills, your troubleshooting skills, your people skills, those aren't specific to an industry or a particular niche. Those can be parlayed into anything. So when you have that inner knowing combined with the practicality of what skills can I transfer into the thing, I think the confidence comes with that. Trusting yourself and then having a practical application. Does that make
No,
sense?
it makes perfect sense. I think that is where people sometimes feel, get themselves stuck. While you were talking about parlaying a skill into other career, a colleague of mine came to mind. Great professor. She's done this for years and years and years. However, it's kind of like that seeing the forest through the trees analogy. She knows she has a skill. She's used the skill in different areas before. However, there's a degree of uncertainty, which sometimes, not sometimes, most times is tied to security. Security in funds, a paycheck, or something. And also the understanding that in parlaying, it will require a period of not having that comfortable golden handcuff of a salary, right? So how do we navigate that?
Yeah, that is a really great question because I think to this external, so there's the internal noise, which is all of our inner critic crap, right? That we have. And then there's this external noise, which are the expectations from family, the obligations of the mortgage, the financial responsibilities that we have. And so then we're really feeling stuck because if we're making a good salary, and we have to maybe start at the bottom if we're pivoting, or we have to take something a bit less than, right, in terms of salary to build our way up. So one of the things that I do in my coaching practice is when someone's about to make the leap, we actually plan out 3, 6, 12 months, and we actually look, practically speaking, at the budget. So where can you cut costs for the next 6 months? Do you need all those subscriptions? Do you need all of the auto renewals? Do you need a Starbucks every day? Can you make coffee at home? Is there room in the household budget to save a little bit for the rainy day, which is coming? Perhaps what's going to make you feel confident, make you feel comfortable making the pivot is knowing that you have a bit of a slush fund, or you know that you've got a little bit in savings. I never suggest to my clients that they quit tomorrow because that would be pretty rash and a bit of a knee-jerk reaction.
Irresponsible too.
Right. Especially if you've got a family, if you've got a mortgage, if you've got responsibilities. But how do we look at the budget and make room for it? And then we look at alternative ways of financing. So could the pivot be a side gig, or freelancing for a while, or consulting for a while, or picking it up as a bit of a part-time thing, or an internship or something like that? So I talk about bridge jobs on the way to the thing. So there's the thing that we're all meant to do in this world, to serve and to really give and make our unique impact. On the way to that thing, there might be some bridge jobs. So for example, maybe you get a job that helps to pay the bills, but you can kind of like do it with your eyes closed. It doesn't require a huge amount of mental capacity or bandwidth. So then you have that extra time and resources that you can allocate to building the other thing on the side for a while. So you're absolutely right. There's definitely stumbling blocks to making the big pivot, even if you know what that is. The practical application of life,
Right.
being able to pay those bills is important in the meantime.
Yeah, that is very true. I think that is the one thing that really does scare a lot of people. So let's delve a little bit into the different avenues you talked about: internship, consultation, and the side gig or volunteer, whatever it is. So with the foundation of a secured work environment where you have support from either other colleagues or a manager, all right? So there's that security that, okay, I can go to this person and this person knows who to go to, or I can talk to this colleague who knows how to do the thing that I don't know how to do, and together we'll yield a result. Speaking from my own experience, putting a proposal together for that consultation and knowing who to approach. LinkedIn can be scary.
Yep. Full stop. That's a full sentence. LinkedIn can be scary, period.
It can be scary. Full stop.
Full stop.
So being able to establish those connections is something that it's very scary for most people. How do we go about it? So I'm doing the thing. I've lined up the part-time, the per diem, the whatever thing, and I have the idea. I'm trying to curtail my message in a good way. I'm trying to reach out to people, but I'm scared because I don't have the foundation of a secured employment where the people there that know people that know people. How do we go about it, and how do I deal with that angst?
Well, there's two things. If we're looking kind of internal, external, there's the internal angst, which in my practice, I always talk to my clients about mindfulness techniques. So whether it's positive psychology, whether my clients are more science-based and they want something that they can sink their teeth into, or if they're on the other sort of end of the spectrum and they're open to meditation and journaling and some mindfulness techniques, that's always a part of this journey, because that's what helps to quiet the mind, whether it's journaling, whether it's meditation, prayer. Some people have a strong prayer practice. Some people, it's just 5 minutes of breathing and visualization, but there has to be some kind of mindset work going on, or in my opinion, just not going to be as successful. So that's the first kind of bucket, is some kind of a mindfulness practice, some kind of a mindset practice, which is going to help with what you're talking about, the angst and the confusion and the uncertainty. And then the practical part of that is anchoring yourself in your own story, right? Your own brand, your own brilliance. Gay Hendricks is a pretty famous author. He's got the book, The Big Leap, and he talks about our zone of genius and that we all have that zone of genius, but most of us are working in our zone of excellence. We're working in a way that we've already mastered. And so we're getting the accolades, we're getting the praise for things that we're good at, but it's not the stretch. In my language, it's not the thing you're meant to do. And so the practical application is getting really comfortable with your brilliance and knowing your uniqueness. So how do you differentiate yourself? Because you're right, LinkedIn's scary. It's really noisy out there. How do you differentiate yourself? Well, you've got to come to what that is for you in terms of, your unique gifts, your combination of talents and personality. That's what makes you unique. And then how do you speak to that? A lot of people talk about personal brand, the languaging around that. And I think we all have something that differentiates us. None of us are the same. We all have a unique iris and ear shape and fingerprint and tongue print. Literally, we're all different. So the mindset work is important because that grounds us and kind of quiets the inner critic and the inner noise. And then having the foundation to step onto, which is our story, our uniqueness, our gifts.
You did a great job answering that question. It's scary when you're starting anything new.
Yeah.
I remember starting this podcast and even stepping out, talking about stepping out in your genius. It gets to a point when you're operating in your space of excellence. It gets tiring. For me personally, it's like, okay, what else is there? This cannot be it. So it doesn't matter how. Do it when you're scared. Do it scared.
Yeah.
That's it. Do it scared. You'll be surprised how many people will be drawn to you. Yes, I mentioned earlier, I'm a nurse, nursing professor, and I've always, had a thing for technology, how things work, research, how to make things better. However, when you think about nursing, you're thinking about direct care, the hospital type stuff, medication and all that stuff. But getting to know the field of nursing, I was really captivated by expanding, and that scared me. So when I went to get my master's, it was in informatics, and I started a technology, and that scared me. Okay, I'm not just talking about healthcare. I'm talking about technology and how it affects healthcare. And you need a village, and your village doesn't have to consist of 10 people. 2 people is enough, and it's not your family members.
No. To be on that point, I mean, you may actually, when you're stepping into this scary zone, you may actually have to reevaluate some of those relationships. I certainly did. Like those energy vampires that are like sucking you dry. That's not helping. You need the village of support. You need your people who are cheering you on. And it may look different than you thought. It may not be the people that are quote unquote closest to you. They may not be the people that are going to be the wind beneath your wings, right?
And that's okay.
That's okay.
It's actually normal. Some family members want you to do the thing and have to prove and show them, and that's okay. You have to have this insatiable. So I've read this book time and time again. It's the Napoleon Hill book. You have to have this insatiable, almost a glutton for punishment, for success.
Yeah.
Make this thing a thing. You have to chase it in a way that is plan A or plan A, no plan B. It has to work or it must work. That's it. So it's very important that you made those points about jumping into it and going for it. So let's talk about old dogs and new tricks. Still going back to, the veteran corporate mindset and a traditional mindset. So I mentioned earlier, like in the Nigerian culture, we are big on education. We're big on those safe careers. The doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, the engineers, the prestige that goes with those careers, and also the financial benefit and the safety that comes with those careers. What are your tools with working with somebody who not only has the societal ideation of maybe their calling is not part of those safe careers, but also cultural aspect of things that is deeper than just what society thinks is safe?
Absolutely. And I think I fought against that. I was telling you, I mean, it's been 2 decades that I've been in corporate and various industries, because I was following more traditional career paths, thinking I've got to measure up. And I mean, I spent many years being disillusioned by the career path that I was on because it didn't feel right to me. And I think if people are honest with themselves, listen, we need lawyers, right? We need engineers, we need accountants, we need doctors. But if that's not you, like if that doesn't feel aligned for you, then that's not your calling. That's not what you're meant to do. And so I think this work that I'm doing is really for people that are seeking and who are questioning and who are asking the question, is this it? Like you said, this cannot be it, right? This cannot be all there is. And so the work that I'm doing to inspire and empower people to make the big pivots or the big career changes, it's not for everyone. I think it's really for people that are asking, is there more? Like, I'm capable of more. I know I'm made for more in terms of impact. I just don't know how to get there. And if you're working in a space where you're feeling bored, or if you're feeling like you're not challenged, or you're not able to live up to your potential, like there's that concept of living up to our potential, what we're truly capable of. And I think there are a lot of folks that are seeking and questioning, and that's really who I work with. I'm not about to try and convince somebody that they're in the wrong profession if they don't feel it. Do you, boo? If it's working. I only resonate with people who are feeling misaligned, who are feeling incongruent. And so the cultural piece, I think, is tricky because there is so much stigma in certain cultures with certain professions. You're viewed less than. You know, you're not as successful as Bob because look, Bob's doing the thing over here. He's the doctor, he's the lawyer. And so there is a lot of stigma, but you know, you can only lead a horse to water or whatever that saying is. I I don't try and convince people that they're in the wrong profession. It's only if they're feeling that misalignment or they're feeling that incongruence that the work I do works or will resonate, especially when there's that cultural piece that's influencing the decision. So, I mean, I certainly have worked with a couple of women in particular that I can think of that are South Asian and had big tech careers. And both of these women that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head went into tech as South Asian women because that was acceptable and it was revered and that's what was expected. So there was a certain level of responsibility and obligation, and they burnt out, and not burnt out because they didn't work, like that they didn't know what they were doing, or, you know, they were working hard but there was really that sense of incongruence and kind of beating your head against a wall. And whereas when you're aligned with who you are and you're in a role that juices you, right? You're not going to burn out. You could work an 80-hour work week. If you're doing something that energizes you and juices you and you feel like you're making an impact, you feel like you're making a difference, right? You could work an 80-hour work week and not burn out. Similarly, you could work a 35-hour work week doing something you hate and burn right out. So I hear you. There is definitely a cultural element to our career choices and really being influenced by society and elders in our community, family, friends. But I think first and foremost, somebody has to identify and be aware that they're incongruent and want to change. Because otherwise, I'm not going to drag them along.
I mean, they have to seek you to be able to work with you, and that usually comes with a level of, this is it, I have to do something different.
Yeah. Like enough's like these women in particular that I'm thinking of, they got to that place of burnout and it was like, well, enough's enough. I literally cannot do this anymore. Like I can't go in on Monday. I just can't. So something has to change when you get to a breaking point. I mean, my hope is always that people seek me out before they get to a breaking point so that we have some time to make the plan. Because if you get to a breaking point, and so then we're in a position where we're making different decisions. Whereas if people come to me when they have the whisper, like, something's not right. This isn't the right fit. I'm not feeling like this career is serving me anymore. That's a better time to seek career coaching or to seek help in any capacity. Much better than if you're ready to go rage quit or tell your boss to F off. Really recommend not doing that.
Why not? You only live once. Go ahead.
Right? And trust me, I've had clients that have rage quit, and I have had clients that have told their boss where to go, and it is not pretty. So then we're picking up the pieces and then trying to make the plan for the future.
I mean, for you to rage quit, a lot led up to it. A whole lot led up to
That's right.
it. At the end of the day, it's what you're willing to sacrifice. It's not advisable. Don't do it. But I love burning a good bridge. But something that's, but yeah, it's not recommended. Have a plan so you're not in a place of desperation and you do something that you might regret.
That's it. And you have less options at that point.
Absolutely, you do. And usually when you it's almost survival. And when you're in survival mode, you don't make the best decisions. You usually don't. So of calm mind, if it's not working, the first few signs are like, okay, there's got to be something different, and you go for it. So you talked about influencing and making an impact. There's something that I'm seeing a lot of professionals, even people in those safe careers, are doing to have that impact, have that satisfaction, and that to be content with their careers. So you find a lot of doctors, nurses, lawyers, accountants on social media, even LinkedIn, using those platforms to educate, talk about your businesses, or support community members, or put out digital products to help your, say, clientele. So, what is your take on using your passion as an accessory to your career, as opposed to completely leaving it if you are that tied to it and you don't feel like a complete pivot is the right option for you?
Yeah, great questions. I mean, I think we all have a role to play in society. I mean, if we think of our ancestors, how they set up societies, everybody had a role to play. You want to talk about it takes a village, like that's the definition of that. You raise the chickens and you put the horseshoes on the horses and all pray with the folks, and someone's going to be the medicine shaman person, and we all had a role to play. And I think it it looks a little different in our modern society, but the premise is still there. We all have a role to play. We desperately need healthcare workers, and thank you for your service. We need people in the military to keep us safe, and we need folks that are understand the law and can fight for justice and fight for rights. We need mechanics. I mean, gosh, like my car, if we didn't have our mechanic, like we wouldn't be getting to and fro.
That's right.
Farmers who grow our food and chefs that give us these beautiful experiences when we go out to eat. And so we all have a role to play. And I think using your passion is part of the process I use, actually. If you think of a Venn diagram with 4 circles, my contention, my belief, the work that I do is that we all have this role to play and this thing that we're meant to do in society. And it lies at the intersection of 4 concepts. And one of the concepts is passion. So we need to have that element of passion for what we do, right? In order for it to really resonate, to really land, for us to have the kind of impact that we want to have in the world. It's like there's a Martin Luther King saying, like, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best darn street sweeper there ever could be. And Maya Angelou's like, if you're going to, whatever you're going to do it so well that people can't take their eyes off you. Right. So I think there has to be an element of passion. Like, you've got to love what you do. And God bless the doctors and the lawyers and the people that love what they do. I mean, my brother codes. He's a chief technology officer at a company. And as a chief now, he's less hands-on, but he loves to code. Like, he could code until 3 a.m. And my sister-in-law's like, bro, like, it's time. Come to bed, like, enough. But he's so passionate about coding, and thank God for that.
Yeah.
I would want to stab a fork in my eye if you asked me to sit down at a computer and code something. Like, gross. But he's so passionate about it. And I love that people have passion in their work, because it means that they're going to be better at it, and they're going to want to improve, and they're going to want to sharpen their blade. And that just helps society overall. The world's going to be a better place if we all play the role that we were meant to. I got a bit off track.
It did not at all. And I absolutely love it, because there's this conversation. I think Dr. Pimple Popper.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love her.
So Dr. Sandra Lee, she has this long-running TV show, and it's about her work. And there was a conversation on a podcast. Was it a podcast or an interview? Something where I think the conversation came up that people just need to stick to whatever their careers are. If you're a doctor, stick to being a doctor. There's no need for you to have a TV show or be a content creator. I don't want my doctor content creating. He or she should focus on doctoring, whatever that means. And so that's why I asked that question, because I find a lot of people have questions that maybe Google cannot completely answer. However, if a doctor is creating content and talking in details about that, or even comparing maybe something like a dermatological manifestation, that's why I thought of Dr. Sandra Dee. Eczema doesn't look the same on every skin tone, right? So even with keloids that are melanated skin, there are different degrees to it.
Sure.
So if a person is watching her TV show, and most of the people that show up on her TV show either watch an episode of something similar, or it's like, okay, nobody else can help me. At least I can go to her. Maybe she can help. So that's why I asked that question, because I'm seeing a lot of people in those safe, secure careers that are not content creators, full-time content creators, that are applying the content creation part, and they have personality too.
Yeah.
Applying the content creation aspect to their secured career in a way that makes an impact for them and the community that they serve. So we can chew gum and walk at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think to this point, it's the nuances that you don't get from Google or a chat GBT search, right? No shade on GBT. Love myself a little chat search.
Yeah.
But you can't deny the value in someone's human experience. So if a doctor has been looking at skin lesions for 25 years, safe to say she's going to know more than your little Google search, and safe to say she's going to understand the nuances of the various skin tones and how skin issues show up. And wouldn't you love to hear her voice out in the world to get that expertise? I mean, I do. I love her.
I like where we are going as a society, where I'm all for tradition. I love traditional stuff, but I also I fully embrace being one with the times. Things have changed. And, yes, we can maintain an element of traditionalism while we're also recognizing the time that we're in. Like in medicine or in science in general, we're very evidence-based. Scientists want something they can hang on to. You said sink their teeth into. If I cannot see evidence of something, we need to have conversations about it, right? So in a world where students may not understand a lecture in the classroom, however, there is this nurse who, in that specialty, is teaching and explaining things the way that the student gets it. Are you saying it's wrong for the students to understand it and go past that exam? Should they just listen to the professor? When I say this, my students laugh. Not everybody can learn from me, okay? And not everybody can teach.
I can't imagine that's true.
They're different personalities, right? Some people just feel like some personalities. I'm a very silly, serious person. And most of my students absolutely love that. Again, I'm very conscious that I'm not for everybody. So if a student cannot learn from me, I encourage students, seek who you can learn from. Whether it's a professor on this campus, whether it's a YouTube channel, but just make sure it correlates with your book. So I think in the age of social media, in the age of the World Wide Web, we owe ourselves the responsibility to use it wisely and to use it well, to use it to our benefit, to use it to be our absolute best and also the best for others. So I'm not of the belief that if you have this career, stick to that. We don't want to see you. Don't show up on the internet. Don't go on interviews. Don't have a TED talk. I don't believe that to be true. And
Me neither.
I applaud professionals who may not have the confidence to take the complete pivot. However, they feel like they can have an accessory, which is like a consulting or teaching or a content or whatever, in addition to their careers. So, Kendra, I want to talk about your origin story. How did we get here?
Oh my goodness. Well, the Coles Notes version is when I graduated with my undergrad degree 25 years ago. a lot of my counterparts came out of our undergrad knowing what was next. So they went to medical school or chiropractic college. I did a kinesiology undergrad. I mean, it was called physical and health education back then. So some of my colleague or counterparts were going on to become phys ed teachers. Some were going into physiotherapy, chiropractic, medical school, you name it, all kind of aligned with our degree. And for the most part, my peers knew what was next. And I just really didn't. And so I fell into my first job. My first grown-up job was in the pharmaceutical industry. And I kind of fell into that because a girlfriend of mine was in pharma and she's like, oh, you'd be great. You can chat to people and you're probably going to be good in sales and you've got this medical-ish degree. Like you can probably pick up the language and so on. And so I did that for a number of years and that felt okay. Like it was good for what it was. But every job that I had, it was good until it wasn't. And meaning I always seemed to get to a point where I was disillusioned or underestimated or not challenged or bored, or I knew I was meant for more, or it just wasn't working, or it wasn't a good fit. And so that was a fast forward 20 years. The pandemic hit and I was laid off. And I really just took the time as a gift to be quiet and to get intentional. And I knew I needed to make a career change. I was in the hospitality industry. I'd found myself through many twists and turns into the hospitality industry when the pandemic hit. And so I was working in events and this world that just shut down. And so I had the time, the gift of time to be reflective and really introspective about what I wanted and what I wanted this kind of back half of my career to look like. And that's, I kind of went down this rabbit hole of self-development and discovery and did some research because I had done an MBA by that point. And so I used some of my MBA research on change management, and change theory. And really that's where the book started, was out of those internal conversations that I was having. How do I make an intentional change? How do I use a framework because I actually want it to stick? How do I get aligned with my true self, my authentic self, and do something that feels like it has longevity and feels like I'm really going to make the impact or make a difference? How do I play the role that I was meant to play? Right? The Buddhists call that Dharma. There's a concept in Hindu and Buddhist cultures called Dharma, and it's like this law of nature that we all are put on this earth for a reason. So trusting that I was put on this earth for a reason, I knew there had to be a thing that I was meant to do. And so it was the pandemic, it was the self-discovery, it was that introspection that led me here. So I really made a pivot into coaching and then writing the book. So 5 years later, I think I started the book in late 2020. So it's taken a few years to get it out into the world. But my origin story is that I knew that I had a way to show up in the world. I just didn't know what that was. And looking around, the traditional career paths didn't make sense for me, but I didn't know how to get to what it was. And so I think there's probably got to be a lot of people. I mean, there were years that I felt like I was made for more and I just didn't know what that was. And I think there's got to be a lot of people out there like that, knowing that they're capable of something more. But just not knowing what that is. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing that. So what's the title of your book and where can you find it?
So it's called The Thing You're Meant to Do.
Mysterious Kendra. I mean, like, you just went for it.
Just went for it, girl. I just and actually, you talk about the inner critic. Like I had a panic last week because the first 10 copies of the book, bless all of my friends and family, the first 10, like you see them ticking away, like the book sales, and you're like, oh my God, And then I saw the names of like who was buying the book, and I was like, shit, like, are they going to think like, oh my God? And then I'm like, darn it, should I have opened up that much? Should I have been that vulnerable? Should I have like made that joke? Because I'm very casual. I'm not a writer per se.
You are. Lean into it. We talked about this before this call.
I need you to be my mindset coach. But yeah, so it's called The Thing You're Meant to Do, a guide to finding fulfillment and reaching your career potential. And you can find it on Amazon. It's for sale on my website, which is kendracourt.com. And it has an accompanying workbook as well. So there is a practical, some people will just be able to read the book and kind of DIY their career change. There is a workbook that's downloadable that can accompany it. And it's just exercises to keep you on track, right? Kind of hold you accountable to the change. And then I do offer a free, what I call a career clarity call. So folks can book those and have an hour with me, and we discuss what's not working and what is working, and then come up with a game plan.
So happy for you. So
Thank
the
you.
book is on Amazon. What we're going to do is that we're going to put a link to Kendra's website, and also I'll find the book and we'll put the link in the show notes. So you can click into it and go right ahead, check it out, purchase it. She's offering an hour free. Most coaches don't do that. So please, if you want career clarity, you're not sure, you think maybe, possibly, but I just know I'm not happy and satisfied here, why not reach out? Again, you cannot be forced. It has to be a compass that is just not pointing the direction that is satisfying. So please utilize that. And oh my goodness, this was such a great conversation. I like conversation. What were you worried about? Stop it. So Kendra, something that I like to ask because I just want to juice everything out of you. I usually ask of my guests before we round off our conversation to please share a golden nugget or a few golden nuggets with the listeners. What would you like to leave people with after this conversation?
That's beautiful. I think the biggest thing is listen to the whisper and don't wait. Life is too short. And I was working with a woman in her 60s not too long ago, and she was like, Kendra, I think I've missed my window. I've got enough money, like I can pack it in and I can just be on a beach somewhere. And I asked her if there would be deathbed regret, because there was still something that she needed to do in the world, right? Not just be a grandma and a mom. And it really inspired her, like that question about, it was a bit morbid, I guess, at the time to go there. But I was like, is there going to be deathbed regret for you that you didn't do this thing, that you did just kind of fade out? And so the thing I would leave your listeners with is don't wait. If a notion is coming to you, it's coming to you for a reason. I've never dreamed about being an astronaut, ever. My stepdad, he always dreamed about being an astronaut. Like it was just something that was like in his head all the time. Now he became a pilot, so he got up in the air and he was able to satisfy a part of that desire, a part of that yearning. But I think if it's coming to you as, I should be making cupcakes, I should be landscaping, I should be researching lizard eyeballs, like, I don't know, but if it's coming to you, it's coming to you for a reason. And I think listen to that. Whether you choose to blow up your life and really do something about it's another story. But I think listen to that inner wisdom, because that whisper it's coming to you for a reason.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And you say morbid, I say necessary, because those deathbed regrets are heavy. I've had the blessing, and I'm very grateful to have shared many last minute experiences with people. And you don't want to get there and not feel like I've done all I wanted to do or desired to do, because that is not it's not an easy passage. So
that's right.
It's morbid, however, it is a necessary conversation, because we, out of being polite, live our lives in the shadows, in obscurity, because we don't want to be too much. Be too much.
Yeah.
Be too
Right.
much. You don't want to shine? Let them get a pair
Oh,
of sunglasses. It's okay.
I'm showing you my pillow right now. So my best friend, when I embarked on this journey of entrepreneurship, scared shitless, and she got me this pillow. I don't know if you can read it.
Just try and remember the sun doesn't give a fuck if you're blind seal. That's right.
Right? It's under my butt.
Fingers up. The screen gives you a thumbs up after it.
Amazing.
Oh my, that is
Yeah.
true. The sun does not care. It shines anyways.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I, if I'm honest,
Yes.
really feared was resentment, like resenting myself for not like getting out of my own way and just, come on, girl, like just fucking do it. Like just do it.
That's right.
Right. And I think I was scared of being resentful or having that resentment. Yes, the regret,
Yeah.
you know, for sure, but also living with resentment that I succumbed or I
You settled.
settled.
Yeah. Wow. But way to leave golden nuggets, Kendra. Shit.
Well, you pulled that one out of me. That you did that. You pulled that right out.
You're letting me pull it out of you. I think everybody needs to hear this. And your journey is your journey. Do not compare yourself to other people. You just never know what people went through to get to where they are. They may not tell you the whole story. But again, just like Kendra said, that voice, I know the noise usually drowns it out, but if you can hear it as faint as possible, explore it, lean into it a little bit, and with good calculation, explore it. However that looks like volunteer, internship like Kendra mentioned, or even being a consultant of sort. You have a lot of skills. Even a chef has a lot of transferable skills.
That's right.
Outside of the kitchen.
That's right. Oh my gosh, my bartender friends, like I say this all the time. If you want a good team member, find yourself a bartender for literally any project that you're working on. How tech doesn't matter. Bartenders, they can read the room, they can problem solve, they can multitask, they know how to diffuse situations. Like any of my bartender friends who I knew from hospitality would hire them in a minute on any team.
It's funny you say that because my best nursing students are servers and bartenders.
Yeah, 100%. They know how to hustle. They know how to grind. They're not afraid of hard work. They know how to problem solve. They know human behavior.
They let off their backs. Oh my goodness, it's funny you said that and it makes so much sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Transferable skills. And at first glance, someone might say, oh, a bartender? Like, why would I? And then if you think about the skills that they utilize on a daily basis.
High stress environment too.
High stress, multitask. They've got to diffuse situations. They've got to be empathetic and listen.
That makes so much sense. Thank you for that. That's a perspective.
Hi, okay, everyone, go hire yourself a bartender on your most corporate engagement.
Next open house in your closest bar. Why not?
Yeah.
So anyway, this was such a fun conversation, Kendra. I'm going to say it again. I'm very happy for you. I'm very proud of you for leaning into using your expertise and making sure this book was, it cooked and simmered and marinated for as long as it needed to, for it to come out and be what it is. And I want to get myself a copy. I want you're an author, you're a writer, you're all the things.
Thank you.
It is you. Pinch yourself all you want. It is you. And you're doing big things and great things. And I'm so grateful you made time to be here to have this conversation with me today. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, and to you as well. I mean, congratulations on your pivot. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
It was so nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Kendra.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to us and coming on this fun ride. Hope you got something from it. I got plenty from it. And please click in, find Kendra, go to our website. If you're remotely close to feeling does more, please reach out to her. Grab a copy of that book and the workbook. You do your homework and you lean into your greatness, your genius. Take that leap. All right?
Take the leap.
Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to AVP podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the discussion. So join us on social media or drop us a message. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of your world.